Happy New Year! Welcome to 2018, and we're going to show you the January scrapbooking for 2018.
We have two beautiful new paper sets, plus dazzles, die cuts, and paper toll.
In fact, there's lots more. Come play with us. Let's begin with the papers, and we're going to start with Spice Market. Now you're going to get 12 sheets of this and also 12 sheets of the whitewash.
Right.
Now the Spice Market is double-sided, and this will be released to the rest of the world a little bit later in January. And you can see
it's just beautiful.
It is beautiful. It is, and it's so different. Just a really marvelous look, and I love how all the art has been layered and really pretty even up in the upper corner.
There's a lot going on there. I love those colors with that dark black. It's just gorgeous.
And something I noticed is that I really like to do a little game when we have the, as we always have the double page spreads. But look at this. They line up perfectly, and I didn't know that.
Right, so it just continues right up the center, so that's beautiful.
So that's really kind of fun. So you can, you can play with these. You can do, let's see, you can make them as bookends and let those two play in the middle. So just lots of options, and I think it's nice to kind of explore that for just a moment. So the rest of the papers are going to be like this. We've got a flourish in the corner and just a really fun combination of colors. This is really pretty. Look at that in the corner. And all this light line work.
So kind of ghosted in there on this one. Goes nice with the darker colors.
It does. And then we have kind of a kaleidoscope of colors in this, a smaller pattern, of course. And then we're going into the greens. And again, that
another border.
The edge.
I love having more than one border.
And then an all over black and white, which is going to play well with the others. And then of course on the back side, you're going to get tone on tone patterns. Look at that marvelous border piece with stripes and a green, a yellow, and then this is the line art, a little bit larger. And then also very fun dot that's got more stuff going behind it.
Layers and layers.
Yes, layers and layers, you're right.
And then we also have the whitewash collection.
Right, and this is kind of, the idea was to have lots of textures for you, but look what the graphic designers did, just gorgeous. How pretty to have that stenciling at the top of this.
Gorgeous.
Now these are single-sided. They are exclusive to members only, so you will never see these unless, of course, we decide to do something later. Yeah, the design team really wants these as a paper pack for everybody. They've been whining, just like that, just like that. So, and look at this, very fun, all this old newsprint, and then we've got a whitewash, so you can also turn it right side or the other side. And then we have an all-over pattern, very ghosted back, almost linen looking, just really pretty.
I like a printed linen.
And speaking of linen, this one, but look, we've got a little addition of the lace on the corner, so really very fun texture. And then we're mixing our whitewash with the teal and the green.
Love that. You've even got that little strip of lace right in there. It's kind of, I love to go right to that for a border. That's kind of fun.
And then we have another, this is the second set, so same repeat, of course.
So they go together.
Okay, and then inside the kit, we also have,
all
as always,
of the other elements. We're going to start with that newsletter.
Right, and this is where you're going to see not only the contents and the members only special 20% discount offer, but also the 8 page layouts. And so you can see what was done by 2 different designers with the first set, and then with the second set with the Spice Market.
And always lots of instruction for how to do the techniques, which I think is the most important part of these. I mean, you can see, I can place my photos about here, but really the key here is how did they do that little technique there?
Right,
and so it's like a class in that way.
And that it's not just sticking stuff. I mean, there's techniques involved and things that you can really take away. We also do one card, and just to give you a piece of your creativity that you can share with someone else. And then inside the kit,
ribbons, and 7 ribbons in this kit, and they're going to match, and you can split them up and sort of match the 2 separate sets very nicely. You've got a velvet glitter ribbon in there, you've got a glimmer, shimmer, you have sheer in a couple of different widths there, teals, yellows. I love having those crepes in there, and so lots to play with in the ribbons.
And I thought I'd bring back the Spice Market because this pack of buttons and beads and sequins is going to go perfectly with the Spice Market, as you can see.
It really does.
And
yeah.
I don't think we've had this before, but I know the design team absolutely loves these, and we get these from Buttons Galore, and just really fun.
Well, they go great with Spice Market, but we used them on whitewash too because that beautiful teal. So
okay.
You'll see them in both.
Well, while I've got the Spice Market out here, you're also going to receive both sheets, again, very first time, both sheets of the Scrapbooking Dazzles that go with the Spice Market. And look at that shimmer and shine.
So they have lots to play
Yes.
with. We had lots to play with, actually.
Yes. So that's going with that collection.
Okay, and you've got die cuts. Absolutely beautiful. Look how well they match up with those whitewash papers. These are so beautiful, and they are from
Floral Fantasy.
There we go, upside down. Floral Fantasy. Wait till you see some of the ways that we've used these.
And then also to go with it, we kind of have a feminine and a masculine with the Picture Perfect paper towel. So paper towel is so fun because it too is already die cut for you. In fact, this is going to be really easy and fun to play with.
Right, and a template, a fence template. And I'm just going to set it right on there because, you know, it's kind of good to go right that way. But I'm going to show you a different way to use it.
Well, you can use it as a template. I would think of it as another die cut to
which
be
is
used.
what it is. A big, beautiful fence die cut. Okay.
So, and I do want to tell you that later in the year, we're going to be revamping scrapbooking.
Okay.
And you'll be getting even more die cuts.
That sounds like fun.
Yeah, so let's get into Spice Market and our
Okay.
very first layout. Make some room here on the table, and look at this, just beautiful. And I think it's really fun to have this border treatment over here kind of balanced with the great big dazzles right there.
That is a great idea. And these dazzles are just beautiful, backed on different papers and layered. So they are foam taped on top of each other. Right.
Okay.
So that piece, it kind of looks to me when I look at it like more than one piece is layered, just because of the different paper backing. And that's something that Susan and all of us, really, all of us designers like to do. I'm going to peel off one of these. So this is from the sheet here. It's pretty simple to peel these off. You go just a little area at a time because there's a lot of scroll work involved. There we go. We get it all picked up. And then we can start backing. And this can be backed just a little bit at a time. You want to start backing that center piece. I actually kind of like to cut a piece that suits it just right. So here's this little center area. One thing that you can do is turn it over so you can get a good idea of how big that piece is that you're going to back on that center piece. So you can actually set it on here like so. Oh, it's going to be about that big. And then I can take my scissors, go underneath and just cut a little piece. Oh, that's just about that big. I know I'm going to have to cut it about that much. Then I'm going to turn it over and go ahead and place it on there. And these dazzles are just, they're not so sticky that you can't lift them up again while you're working. So I set it down and then I start lifting the areas that I want to cut next to, and I place my scissors right next to that area. Can you see where my scissors are? We might have to,
right underneath
there we go.
there.
There we are. And then I start cutting right next to the dazzle on the paper. And that's how we cut it to get just a perfect line, so you can see it's just like that. You can go around on each of those other areas and cut right next to that dazzle. There we go. That makes just a beautifully backed dazzle, and I can do that going around whatever area I want. If I wanted to make this a little bigger and back that whole area, that would be good too. I think I was thinking of the smaller area in the center. But once you get one area backed, once that's all trimmed the way you like it, then you can take another color and go ahead and place that. Let's see, you could do a black. Oh, I like that pink dot. And then you can go ahead and back the rest of your dazzle or one other part of your dazzle, whatever you like, and get several different colors.
And of course, areas like this, you're just going to pull this forward and trim right under it.
Trim right around it, around the edges. So it's pretty simple to do.
Now, while you can do it with the paper, you can also just put it on cardstock and color in with chalk, Spectrum Noir pens, whatever coloring you have.
So whatever you prefer.
Fun to see the butterflies here going in, and then as Gail said, that little flourish on the top, that kind of teardrop, that has been backed and foam taped on top. So you get many layers, the look of many layers.
Right, so very pretty. And some of them you can just back simply on one color and then just glue it in place. And I love that the words are mostly the journaling on this page. There's a lot of great words. You make my soul happy. That's just an absolutely beautiful phrase. And of course, using the dazzles, the border dazzles, right here on the edge of the photo. And isn't that, and they're not, if they're not long enough, you can put them end to end, and here you can barely, I mean, I spotted that that's where it is, but that's because we're close with the camera. From a distance, I didn't even notice that.
Also, notice while you're up here, that little flourish going over into the photograph. I think that's just a beautiful element. And at the opposite side down here, that collection of buttons, and they have been threaded with paper.
With little strips of paper. So it's something that's very easily done in that you can cut a 1/16 of an inch strip of paper like this, and then just start threading your button. And we can go through, you know, you can start from the back if you want. Go through, if I can, yes, very easily done. As I'm from a distance, I'm trying to do this. So you can either go crisscross style, or you can pull this up and go right across to the next one. And generally, once I get it through, I will zot it in place on the back. So a little piece like that, just a zot to secure it on the back, and do that with some of your buttons.
Right, and then you can also add the sequins, and you can put the pearls on top of the buttons. So really nice little collection there.
Right, and one of the buttons was laced with the 1/8 inch wide ribbon too.
Then on the opposite corner of the buttons, we have these kind of dangling down, which I think is just lovely. And we've got butterflies kind of all over the place.
And so, again, backed with paper, it makes them show up just a little bit more on your page.
Now the companion page is taking that same paper, but letting that border be instead on the left-hand side at the top. And we've added one big embellishment, one big dazzle in the center there. And I like how it touches all of the photos. It just really connects them visually. We're getting closer just so you can see the layering that was done.
And there's one of the dazzles that I was showing earlier. So she did back this entire piece here. So you've got all of this area that you can cut around, then add that next color and another color down here. Really fun.
And again, this is a piece that was foam taped on, so just like with the first one. And again, we have little collections of our buttons on this photo, and then on this one, just a smaller grouping.
On this one, I want to show you something in particular. That button right there, if you get a good look at that, so the way, that wasn't actually laced. Susan used some of the chain dazzles from here. So she just lifted that chain dazzle just like so. And then on the button,
just crisscross it.
Just crisscross it, so a little piece that way.
Nice.
So that way you don't actually have to thread your buttons, and that's a fun look.
Gives you another option. Now, we've got also, again, repeating what was done on the first page of backing these. Also have a couple hanging. There's another piece of a border that was used just along the edge there. Very nice. And I'm going to go down to the bottom, and you can see that same border is used here. Now, on the first page, it was turned outward. On this one, that little flourish is pointing into the photograph.
And just backed on one strip, so you can cut like an 1/8 inch strip and just place that dazzle. Or I would put the dazzle on the paper first, and then just cut along the edge to cut it away.
And then we have, again, using the dazzles for the journaling, So Blessed, and some going down there. A little bit of ribbon, just connecting those, and a little butterfly right in that photo.
One of the things I like about papers that have so many different colors is that you're going to be able to find photos with certain colors that sort of match it. And that's something that I like to do. Oh, let's see, let me look at the color of my papers. What kind of photos? So this one, little pink, you know, little pink outfits and pink noses on teddy bears work really well.
It does. Now, our second layout using the Spice Garden is
Spice Market.
Is one that Debbie did. And she has used the Dazzles for Good Vibes. That's the title of this. And again, I think this is really fun how she has this hanging from the
that
top.
Is fun. It's just a little bit like an erector set. Just kind of goes up there, and then you've got that
kind of a wind chime.
Down.
Yeah,
Fun.
very fun. I also like that layering of those papers, and she has inked each of them.
And that is a tag or a banner that's really pretty easily made. I'm sure you've probably seen me do this before, but I'm going to do it one more time. Where if you want to get that perfect little V in the bottom, you just fold your paper in half like so. Take your scissors and cut it just like so. So now that gives you your perfect V in the bottom. Now that's what Debbie did. If you felt like you wanted like an inverted V, kind of like an arrow, you do the same thing. You fold it over, but this one you cut at a different angle, and there you have like an arrow, and you can use that any way you want. Just really quick ways of doing that.
And that way it's not a struggle because it's going to be perfect on both sides. It's going to match. And down here we have two photos. Now on this page, Debbie has used two papers. So she's used the pink paper, she's cut a piece of this to put on top of the green, left that border down at the bottom that's printed on the paper, and then added a little bit of a collage where a larger mat for this photo, and just using this on black and then putting it onto this
I like
pink.
using the different papers back there. So she's got one large strip, and then she adds this strip and this strip, and you can just start adding pieces like that until it looks nice. I mean, don't glue them in place until you have them right where you want them, and then you go, oh, there, that's a great look. I love this collection of buttons down here. It's just this fun row of buttons, and Debbie laced them with something. Now that yellow, I was looking at it and I go, where did she get that thin, that 1/8 inch wide yellow ribbon when all we have is this 3/4 inch? Well, here's what she did. She cut a strip from one side all along. So with that crepe ribbon, it holds together. If you don't pull it really hard, it will stay together. It's pretty tight. And then she used that to lace and tie her buttons.
And you know, when I first glanced at this, it almost looked like a row of flowers to me.
Oh, yeah.
So I like how the ends of the ribbons are going in different directions as she placed them. I think that's fun.
Yeah.
And then a dazzle down here, and then offset with this large one right here, again done in the same manner that Gail demonstrated earlier with the multiple layers of paper.
Just beautiful.
Really pretty. And again, Dazzle's connecting those photos. Now, she did some fun things too on the next page, and we'll show them together first so you can see that duplicating that great big pink on the center of both of these.
It's almost like it's got a center that's tied together when you do that.
Very nice. And this black strip connects, as you can see, from one side to the other.
So that's nice.
It's very nice, yes. So we'll pull that away and concentrate here. I have to tell you, I absolutely love that she used a label here, or a tag, to do her journaling.
Right. That's absolutely beautiful. And the journaling, which is the dazzles.
Again.
So here is that. Now, here we talked about the V cut, and then I showed you now, she made it look like a tag there. And then you just ink the edges. That gives you a nice black edge, so it will really pop on these papers.
Right.
And then just start adding your dazzles. This one was backed on a little bit of green, and then just start playing with those. And by the way, I love that they're not just lined up perfectly. They're kind of offset and moving around, so that's really fun.
Staying right down where you are, the buttons right here. In fact, that little pearl. Okay, there you go. Now
that
stay.
Can go in the center.
And
that in place.
Isn't that pretty? Just really pretty.
Beautiful.
And so just wanted to point that out. This is all backed on the same paper, so a little easier to do.
So really fun. And then up at the top, we've got another one of those border dazzles, and it's just holding all of these little strings of dazzles. So you can really have fun decorating with these tinier elements.
Here is another of the large ones, and this one just has a button on the inside of it, in the center of it. My inner piece is what this is saying. And this large piece of paper is just an offset piece. And I love that border on there. It's interesting having that in the middle of the layout, not connected to any of the photos, but just having it on this one piece and letting more of the dangles hang. So you can, whenever you have a top piece, you can let the things hang from it.
I wanted to mention the theme of this is all about exercising, and you would think, okay, so it's the new year, so this page is all about exercising, but maybe I'm not starting a new exercise routine. What do I do with this? I love that this says, my inner peace, good vibes, let your free spirit soar. Put something in there that means something to you.
Right.
Maybe it's you're doing some new cooking class or a new art class for the new year. Maybe it's, you know, running around with your kids. This can be anything.
Right.
It doesn't have to be exercise.
Right. Yes, we want to make that clear, don't we?
You know, I'd like to do that in the new year. I think maybe I will. So anyway.
Now the card is also using Spice Market, and it's just a fun, playful card, which I think is really, really neat.
And it is nice and bright. It just kind of pops.
And so you can see how the papers are layered, and again, a border, so useful. I think we're seeing lots of ways of using it. Some of the dangles hanging from a paper strip
so
this
we're
time.
taking some of the elements that you've seen on the pages and just using them on a card. I love that she cut out a piece of the artwork here. I haven't yet seen that on the pages that we looked at.
Right.
It's right out of the paper.
Susan did this, so again, she's using her dazzles to thread or pseudo thread her buttons on each of the centers there.
Pseudo-threaded buttons.
Pseudo-thread.
Interesting.
And then on the inside, using the paper, she's done some computer journaling on the paper, cut out another design.
Cut out another piece.
And used another border.
That's great. You can put anything you want, computer journal it on the inside of your card. And it's like a custom designed card just for that person.
So that's our exploration of Spice Market. Now we're going to go into whitewash.
Okay.
And here we have our very first layout. And this is using not only our fence, but also the
die cuts. Right, so we've got the die cuts, we've got the fence, we've got these gorgeous papers that really go well together. I'm going to start with that fence, and this is, by the way, about a new home, so I kind of thought that fence just fit that theme perfectly, but you can also do just playing out in the yard. Pick the photos you like.
And you did use that fence as a template.
I did use it that's why when I saw it, the first thing I thought was, oh, a template. And you were saying, oh, it's a die cut. Oh, well, of course you're right. It is a die cut, but I was thinking template. Now, what I want to do is I want to trace it on this whitewash paper, but I don't want to have to erase all of the lines, so I'm actually going to place it on the back of the paper. But I wanted to point out first, make sure that those wooden planks are going the direction that you want them to go, which
details,
would be up and down.
Yes.
Then I would place it on the back, and what I did is since this is actually longer than that 12-inch by 12-inch paper, I placed one end even with the side here and the bottom edge, even with the bottom of my paper. Now it's hard for you to see that, but then I just went around and started tracing. And I did trace this all the way around the entire piece, all the way down. Whoops, I missed it. All the way down. I'm kind of over at an angle trying to see where it is. But one thing that I want to point out, I'm trying to get just enough trace so that I can show you one little trick after I've traced this all out. So when you do this, you're going to trace the entire piece all the way down. And then when you remove it, one thing I did is I turned it sideways, then I took my ruler, and you can use scissors, but I used a ruler and a retractable penknife, and you can set it along those areas where you see they're going to continue, here, here, and here. put it right there along those pieces, and then use your retractable penknife and cut here, here, here. You're just going to, I mean, I'm not going to do it right now because I don't have a cutting mat, but you'll just start cutting right along. So you can cut them all at one time, just like that, all the way up. And that's going to save a lot of time.
It is.
Move it over here, cut, 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 wherever your pencil
You want to make that
lines
noise
are.
again? Okay.
Just all the way down. And that's the way I would do it. And then you can cut this way too with the penknife. So that's going to get a fun little fence. And I didn't even have to ink that because I felt like it really kind of popped on its own.
And this has been foam taped up, so just foam taped in the those areas.
That's another reason. If you're not going to ink it, foam tape it in place, and it gives you a little bit of a shadow. Another thing that I did is what you can see with the papers here. Let's get to the top of them. So some of these papers,
they're really distressed.
They're really distressed. And so let me show you a way to do that, to really get that distressed look. Now you can start with sandpaper or a sanding block and just start on the edge. And if you put it on scrap paper and just start going like this, you're going to start to get a sanded edge. You can also pick it up and start sanding an edge like that.
And you're pretty firm with it.
Oh,
I mean,
I'm
you're
really firm.
not delicate.
I'm kind of rough with it because I really want it to get a certain look. Now, this will do one thing. It will remove that ink a little bit. It'll get you a little bit of a white highlight. But your fingernail will do a lot more. So I really like to get in there and just start messing with it with my fingernails.
So you're scraping it.
I am scraping it. And see, it immediately starts distressing it. It starts
You're
sort
kind
of
of fraying it, aren't you?
curling it over. Another way to do that, what if you don't have fingernails, and I generally don't very much. You can also use a retractable penknife and just start sort of running that across the edges like that.
That goes faster, doesn't it?
Yeah, that does a pretty good job too. You have to make sure that you don't cut yourself, you don't poke yourself. But,
no bleeding on the paper, please.
But and then I'll just really sort of make it do what I want it to do and fold it over in places.
And you like that fold. I see this on the layout. That folded over is really, it gives some dimension, but it also just has that worn look to it.
Right, and I love that even when, see, that's kind of a rustic look against an elegant look.
Yeah.
Those die cuts are kind of elegant, and it's just a nice mix. It's like leather and lace.
Yeah. Now this one is holding a photograph, and for a new home, I love the idea of a photograph of the front door and with the lock, whatever that looks like.
Something like that, or somebody just holding the keys or holding the just sold sign. Just something to show you, hey, it's a new house and here we are.
And looks like some journaling was done on the die cut.
And I can actually, and we've done more of that on the other page. I'll show you that in just a moment.
And then we have another photo. So we've got 3 photos on this layout.
And this one was matted. I like matting it on the brown cardstock. It really went well with these papers. A little bit of brown, just a thin 1/16 of an inch mat, and then like a 1/4 inch of those pretty plank striped papers, and then another mat. It's fun to build those mats up. And then a nice strip of the paper here that's been matted that goes across. So it's just really creating more interest.
Right, beautiful. Then the companion page, we didn't talk about, well, that die cut has been foam taped up.
So just foam tape. A lot of the die cuts, I like to foam tape them in place because they just sort of, they're sitting on top of everything. And that's just kind of a fun look, like the butterflies. Like this, you can go over the edge of the photo, pick your photos, make sure it's something that you're not covering over something important.
Then on the companion page, going into the same process and in the same location to do your fence.
Right.
You decided to keep your fence to use probably later.
And I used one of the papers in the back that has that beautiful lace border. It looks like real lace.
It does.
So it looks like I just place that lace up there. Go ahead and do the same distressing on this piece of paper, but slip one of your die cuts, the big floral die cut, underneath, in between these, and it really looks like it's a layered collage.
Really frames it, doesn't it?
Right.
I do love this one over the top. It looks kind of like a gateway going over the family.
It's wonderful. And then the journaling on one of it. So this one I'll show you. So lots of journaling on here. Now, if you don't want to computer journal, you can definitely do hand journaling on here if you use a permanent pen of some sort.
Like a Sharpie.
Right, it's going to work on there. And they have really fine line Sharpies
they do.
too. You don't have to use a big fat one.
There you go.
So you can get some nice writing on there.
If you want a computer journal.
Computer journaling. So I started by figuring out what I wanted to write on there, and then I copied it. And I kind of kept an eye on how big is that? Is that going to fit on my label? And you can do that by putting it up to a light or a window, but you can also measure it. So I know, okay, this is about 3 inches. Yeah, I've got a little bit more than 3 inches area in there. Let's make sure that I don't make it too high. So after you print it out once, so now you've got it on your paper, so you know how big it is, you know it's going to fit on here. Then you're going to want to place this on here. And
so you printed this out?
I printed this out first, so there it is already printed out, so that I know where to place this. So I can put this up to a window, get a light behind there, and figure out right where to put it. Although I have to say, die cuts are kind of thick and heavy. Sometimes it's kind of hard to get a bright enough light. If you can't, I mean generally I can, but if you can't, you can set this on top of it. And then when you place the light behind it, you'll be able to see, and I'll do this so you'll be able to see where it is. And you can make a little trace mark right where I know that needs to set. And then I'll bring it back in front and line up those trace marks. Okay, now I know that's right where I want it.
Now you're going to glue it?
I'm going to temporarily glue it. I'll use just a little bit of glue stick or repositional dots, which is actually my favorite go-to because then you can peel it off after. When it's on here, run it through the copy machine, and when you're done, it's going to print.
Or your printer.
Your printer.
Yes.
Your printer. And then when it comes out, there it is, just perfectly placed. And you can just remove that. You see the little lines that I made to make sure that that matched up just so. So that was the first printing, and then the second printing was right in the right place.
Magically right there.
Yay.
And then it looks very customized. So it's just a beautiful technique to have. And if you didn't follow all of that, on the home page at Paper Wishes, down at the bottom, you'll see the Scrapbooking 101.
Right.
You can go there and there'll be
we walk you
the
through,
whole thing.
Yeah,
yes.
the video, we walk you through just how to do that.
Yes. Now, our last double page layout is using the whitewashed again and then the paper towel.
Right.
Kind of more masculine this
Definitely
time.
have a more masculine look, though Lene said, you know, this is a graduation layout, and you could, this would work well for a female as well as a male. I mean, girls can be around cameras and all of this too. You don't have to have
yes, they can.
flowers and bows on them. But I like this as kind of a minimalist layout, but I really like the look, just little strips of paper. She did a little tearing on hers, so she just, with that torn edge, instead of distressing the way I showed you, you're still going to get that white edge. So if you don't want to go through all the work of that distressing, you can just tear the edge, and there you have it. I do like this ribbon treatment down at the bottom. And she said that she twisted this to get kind of an in motion effect. So that is, here I have this strip of ribbon, this crepe ribbon. I went ahead and tied 3 knots in there at kind of equal measures. And then just I'm going to set it right beside it here. You zot it in place, zot or glue it in place right there. Then twist it once, and I'm going to turn it over and twist it to get a nice twist, and then zot the next piece.
There you go.
And then you do that down the line. I would do it again for the next one. But that, just that nice little wrap there, I agree with her. It just sort of looks like it's moving along.
It gives a little dimension too. Even when this goes into a sheet protector, it's still going to give some dimension with those knots.
Right.
And the papers, so there's our background paper, there's the linen, the newsprint, and then also the multiple colors of the whitewash.
Right, the stripes.
So we've got 4 papers going on there. Just,
really
and
fun.
actually 5 with the journaling that's been done directly onto that paper.
Just a little bit of each. So that's fun. Plus, now here's that built-up layer from the 3D paper toll. So on the 3D paper toll, you're always going to get 3 images that are stackable. Plus, you're always going to get a little bit of extra artwork somewhere. Here's a piece down here. And so you want to pop these out and follow the colored numbers. This one has kind of a cranberry or look. Number 1, here's number 1, and then we'll pop pop that out. There's number 2.
So then you foam tape number 2 on the matching area.
On the matching area, you're going to match up each of those images. And this one, let's back up just a little bit. So this piece, you're going to pop this one out, and then you're going to rotate it and match it right on top of that one, and then this. So those are those cranberry colors. And then this one has like a black color. So just follow those colored numbers. Now, in this case, she did that. She stacked them on top of each other. But before she did that, she did a little bit of distressing on this paper towel. So she took this one and a sanding block, and she just sanded the edges a little bit. And you want to do it until you get a little bit of that white to show through.
Basically, you're rubbing off the ink.
Right.
So you're getting back down to the paper.
Right.
And you can do that on the base layer as Gail's doing it, or you can wait and do it onto the areas that are, if they're going to cover it up.
You can do a little bit of edging on each one of these, and she sort of worked in certain areas to really get them a little bit wider, and you can do that. And anyway, it's fun. You can see all of the ink sort of coming off as I'm sanding it. But that's a fun look, a nice distressed look.
And although there are multiple layers on this, because we're using the thin foam tape, it's not getting terribly high. It's still going to be nice in the sheet protector and in your album.
It's not going to be too puffy.
Not a bit. And it's really a good source to use. So we've got our left-hand page. Our right-hand page is using those papers again in slightly different ways. So we've got the same background, but we're using that paper that has the multiple colors of whitewash. Only did a tiny strip here, has it turned horizontally. Now it's vertical with 5 or 4 of the strips showing, using paper toll and using the toll as a frame also.
And she's breaking that paper toll up in this one. So she's got, this is more than one element of the paper toll frame here. So we've got this element, this entire background piece was used here up above, and then just the frame portion was used down below with the addition of those little corner pieces foam taped in place. So it's easy to break those apart.
And then the number 3 has been used right here. So
or here. And,
oh, that's right.
Oh gosh, I think she actually put it right back on there, so that foam taped up. And there's that extra artwork piece, so they work in different ways.
And then that great big piece is spanning these 2 photos.
That big one. And that one's actually been stacked with the elements that with the numbers tell you to stack.
And in this case, this paper has just been torn on that one side. Everything else is just used as it comes. It has been inked a bit, but just really, really lovely.
It is nice. It's a very pretty look. So that's Spice Market
and whitewash.
And you're going to get 2 beautiful looks with that. You can go very feminine or very masculine, and you can have lots of fun with this brand new personal shopper scrapbooking kit for the new year.
And we'll see you again in March as we bring brand new back to you.
We'll see you then.